Thank you so very much for being back. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our main conversation for today. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has declared that the establishment of state police is now a necessity to effectively tackle Nigeria's growing insecurity challenges. Speaking during a meeting with prominent Katsina leaders, including Governor Dikko Radda at the presidential villa, Tinubu emphasized that the federal government is committed to addressing insecurity head on. He acknowledged the porous borders and inherited systemic weakness, but maintained that with determination, these issues are surmountable. The president also revealed plans to strengthen security operations in Katsina State, deploy advanced military technology, and enhance the capacity of newly recruited forest guards. He stated that he is actively reviewing security strategies and receiving daily updates, stressing that Nigeria must protect its citizens, places of worship, and public spaces. Tinubu affirmed his commitment to creating state police and reminded the delegation that a committee was formed earlier in 2024 to study the framework for its implementation. Tinubu's statement drew widespread support from stakeholders, including regional and socio-political groups like Afenifere, Arewa Consultative Forum, and the Middle Belt Forum, who have long advocated for state policing. The Northern Elders Forum also urged the president to declare a state of emergency in the north due to the persistent insecurity that has stifled development in the region. I still have with me Emeka Madunagu and Barrister Tunji Abdulhamid. Thank you so very much, gentlemen, for being back. And I'd love to start with you, Barrister. What's your take actually on the state policing thing? We know the kind of politics we play in Nigeria, a politics of one man taking it all to himself. And we have governors that are so self-serving. They would use the arm of the government against the opposition and stifle them with everything they have. Just imagine if this power is rested upon them. Do you think this is an advantage or disadvantage to Nigeria, state police, that is? Barrister.
What you just said may be one of the disadvantages of giving the state the authority to control police, because I don't want to call it state police, because I'm not aware we have any federal police in our constitution. What we have is police, Nigerian police, but because they have been controlled at the federal, we call it federal police. So I will not use that adjective, state police. I would say control of police in the hands of the state. That's one of the disadvantages. And if you look at that, that also applies at the federal level. The federal government is using the police to achieve its objective, even within the states. So we cannot say because somebody is misusing his authority or is using authority wrongly, who say what will give us progress will not be supported. I commend that effort. I'm a supporter of giving the police, the states, the governors, the authority to control the security apparatus in their states. And probably that was what the governor of Zamfara was saying the other time, that if he had the control of the state in his hand, of the police, of the security agencies in his hand, he will finish banditry in 2 months. So he's saying that it's one of the obstacles that they need to go and seek for authority or approval from somebody at federal level before you can do anything in your state in terms of security. It's one of the reasons why some of these insecurity are prevailing. And the fact that some of the people who are at the federal level, some of them have been alleged to have been compromised, or some of, and then nothing has been done in that regard. Or sometimes the state are frustrated, particularly when the state is not even aligned with the federal government. Whenever they complain of any insecurity or whatever, there is a delay or there is even a lack of there's nonchalant attitude regarding it. So if they have the control of the security apparatus within your state or within your hands, you won't have any blame or any excuses to give anybody again. That means you'll be able to blame yourself if you fail to do what you're supposed to do. There's need for us. That does not mean the police being controlled by the federal, which we call federal police today, will be useless. No, there will be collaboration where necessary. But the state will also have the authority to do what they want to do in terms of security. They need to, if there's a security threat or issue, they need not wait for the people at the federal level for them to do whatever they want to or take steps. to cure the insecurity. That has been the problem. They have to wait and seek approval. Sometimes they complain that sometimes they will even call the IG, and so many times he will not pick on time. It may even take days or a week or hours for him to respond to a distress call. So in that circumstances, what do you think will happen? So for me, I don't see, if you are looking at the political side of it alone and netting other advantage of it, we will miss the point. There will always be misuse of authority in Nigeria. Most people in the authority in Nigeria are always a fan of that. Like I said, even the federal is guilty of that. You remember if you recall on the Edo State election, prior to the election, you see how the police were pursuing certain members of the PDP in the name of they are investigating them for a crime or for crime. And thereafter, immediately after the election, there was no any investigation any longer. So it shows that they were just used for the purpose of election. So it will happen everywhere, whether federal, whether state. What we need to do is, we're in a country where rule of law does not matter. If we're in a country where we follow constitution and the rule of laws are respected, such issue will not, or such concern will not be there. It must be there by now, because that is reality on ground. We have that reality on ground, that I admit and acknowledge the fact that most state governors, or almost all of them, will misuse it. They will use the police to their own advantage and create and chase away the opposition. And that is the fear of so many other people that have been said. But notwithstanding, like I said, we have to weigh the advantages and disadvantages and see whether or not, just because of one particular excuse, we won't be able to, or political excuses, we won't do what is right that will give us a result. One day, somebody will come and do the right thing, and then the issue of misuse may not be there. But if you don't put it in place, how would that happen? So for me, I support a situation where the governors, being called a commander-in-chief without authority, will now have authority to control the security apparatus within their states. In that regard, there won't be more excuse as regarding it is not our fault, it is this and that. Because, as of today, the president is the commander-in-chief of armed forces, and he controls everything. So if there is any need for you to use a police or security agency within your state, they must get approval from the federal before you can do anything. So that does not we call ourselves we are operating a federal system of government where the states are also independent. They are on their own. And so if they are truly on their own, they should have that independent to control whatever is within their states. And that was why that's another reason why I agree that, look, resources within states, the states should be allowed to control their resources. So this is the kind of thing we are looking at. That's when we will now say we are practicing a truly federal system of government. The president has been, before becoming president, he has been talking about this issue of police or whatever they call it. And now that he's in power, he must fulfill it, because that has been one of his projects. He has been money on that. So I expect him to support it and to ensure that is in place. I am in support of it.
All right. The barrister, you are in support of it. And sometimes when I hear people say we misuse authority, it looks like child's play, but it's serious business. Emeka, Udogachi in Anambra is a textbook example. You could recollect what they did to that youth corps member. They assaulted her so badly. And I would love to believe the Nigerian police force would never have done to that extent that Udogachi vigilante group have made to that youth corps member. So don't you think if a 360-degree authority is given to states, they would do worse than this, and it will become anarchy? Jungle justice would pervade in our country. Don't you think so?
Well, I disagree with you, with due respect, concerning police brutality. That is why you had answers now in 2020, because of police brutality. Didn't you see the video of policemen slapping a lawyer in the office of another lawyer when he went to demand for his salary? Right inside the office of the lawyer, the junior lawyer was being slapped by policemen who are just maybe junior, maybe sergeants or so. So these people are just taking, they're just copying from the Nigerian police, security agency about brutality. So this thing didn't fall from the moon. It is, just copycat, typical Nigerian, style or misusing authority. Nigerian police has gone very far. I mean, the UN said we have 53,000 Nigerians are missing. I mean, traceable majorly to security agencies. Who disappeared them? Majorly security agencies. So what we are talking about is, we are talking about a system that operates within the confines of the law. You see, it is possible for the system to operate within the confines of the law. Look at what is happening in the United States now. The way the immigration and customs enforcement is going about picking people and deporting them. Time will come when those leading this charge will face trial for human rights violations. Yeah, they can be banking on Trump. Trump won't be in power forever. It's almost 1 year of his being up. So when it's out, of course, people are going to be called to account. So the point is this: being able to operate in a constitutional and lawful manner. That's what we need. Soludo, Governor Chukwuma Soludo of Anambra State, he brought up people just from the streets, raw, and gave them weapons. I just asked them to go and fight crime. You don't fight crime that way. You don't. You first of all take time. You saw the Amotekun, Ondo State. Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, he took time to train them. He didn't just rush them out to the streets and say, go and start fighting. He took time to get them trained, get them kitted. He got uniforms for them. But these Ludogachi people just operate like, like outlaw. No uniforms. You see them putting on masks and all that. So what differentiates them from the criminals? Are purporting to fight. What we need, operate within decent boundaries. And let me tell you, we glamorize crime in this country when we know that 70% of the problems, that leading to criminality are generated by socioeconomic factors. People are hungry.
Emeka, are you still there? I can hardly hear you. Emeka, are you there? Are you there, Emeka? We can hardly hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. All right.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Yeah, I said people. Yes, I said 70% of crime in Nigeria are engendered by socioeconomic factors. And then people see politicians, hear stories of politicians stealing billions. How do you expect, if the head is rotten, what will the body be like, as the Chinese say? Then you look at the issue of these fraudsters called Yahoo boys. You see the damage they are doing, to the country. So if you can deal with these things, deal with corruption, deal with the theft, stealing of government resources, of course, and then fix the economy, make the country better so that it will be easier for people to create jobs, increase productivity. Then at that, crime will drop drastically. But if you like, you can build 1,000 prisons. You can engage 10 million security agents. You will just continue throwing money into a hole without achieving any significant change. Fix the economy. Fix the economy. Fix the economy. And you will deal a devastating blow to crime. Thank you.
Very well said, Emeka. Fix the economy and we will do a decisive blow to crime. Barrister Tunji, I've heard you on several occasions. You have submitted to the fact that rewriting our constitution, re-amending them and correcting them or getting a new constitution is not the answer. You've always said that what have we done with the constitution that we have? That you have said. And if we would compare that to the Nigerian police force, there's nothing wrong with the Nigerian police force. There's nothing wrong with how they operate. It's all we should do, I think, is for us to update, to upscale them and ensure that they do their job better. So don't you think that same submission you have, that we do not need a new constitution, but amend the old one that we have, don't you think that can equally be applied to the Nigerian police? There's no need for a state policing or having police under the hands of our governors, but ensure that the Nigerian police force that we have is taken care of so they can take care of Nigeria. Don't you think so?
No, you are wrong to an extent, with due respect. You know why I say so?
Yes.
If the constitution says the governors are the commander-in-chief of in their state, and those commander-in-chief, when they have no authority to control those who are under them, is that not a contradiction to the control what the constitution provides? So what I'm saying in essence is that we should comply with the provision of the constitution. When you comply with the constitution of the constitution, it means that you give authority to people who have the authority to control. And then when you give them the authority to control, you are complying with the law. So it's not about double standard here. It's not about saying that, yes, I agree that, look, what we are having is about attitude and structure and system decadence. If you have a system that is working, all this will not be there. And even when the system is working and there are things that are not in the right places, it will not work well. One of them is this: how can you call somebody the commander-in-chief and he cannot command the commissioner of police within the state? Is that the commander-in-chief? So that's what I'm trying to say is that we should amend it. We should practice what is in the constitution. And if you practice what is in the constitution, it means those governors who have the authority to control those under them, if truly they are commander-in-chief. And that is the essence of what we call a police. You can call it whatever name you want to call it. You can call it state police, you can call it
Barrister, sorry for interjecting. Don't you think that all we would have simply done is rewrite the responsibility of the governor to be able to control his state commissioner of police rather than allow for him to build a new police force for the state? Which one is better?
No, if you have the right to control, they're not saying if you have the right to control those under you, you don't have the right to appoint anybody to select. Because as it is today, even if you were able to control the commissioner of police, when they are recruiting, is it government that recruits? And you don't pay them salary, you don't recruit anybody, you don't do anything. The only thing you do is to give them authority. If you recruit people who are not going to do the job, what will you do? You would make do with what you have, so you'll be complaining again.
So must you recruit to control? Must you recruit to control?
If you want to work in the, you want to be in charge of Enterprise TV now, and you have no control over who you can work with or who are not working well that you can control. There is nobody there. Everybody is on their own. They are all oga. Nobody has got. Do you think you'll be able to achieve your results? You won't achieve anything. There must be some. You must be able to work with people you understand. In other words, if the governor is giving authority, I don't even know why we're debating it. Like I've just said it. What we are practicing today contradicts the provision of the Constitution. The Constitution says we have a federal system of government. The states are on their own. They are not under the control of the federal government. They are not baby of the federal government. So why must the federal government be the one to determine how they will operate their security? So I'm just saying we should act in line with the Constitution. I'm not even saying so, and that's what the point I'm making. That if we abide by the provision of the Constitution the way it is today, we will get it right. They are contradictory. I'm also aware that our provision in the Constitution, which gives the authority, the overall authority to the federal to the president, also which contradicts the father, the one given to the states. So those are the areas we need to align and ensure that there's no conflict again any longer, so that the state will also have the right to determine who wants to be, how they want to set up their security structure, how they want to control it. If you are a governor and you cannot give opinion, or whenever you give opinion as to how to challenge to address security challenges in your state, is led to the acceptance of by somebody else. Even if the other person, if that person does not believe in you, or does not believe in your people, or does not understand what you are saying, he won't go with you, and you won't be able to achieve it. So if you have the control, you'll be able to do whatever you want to do with it, and you'll be able to get the blame of whatever result that comes out of it, or get the benefit of, or get accolade for whatever comes out of it. For me, it's not. They are not the same thing. They are not the same thing. They are not the same thing at all. The fact that the Constitution is there, and we're saying that I'm not saying the Constitution is perfect. I'm not saying it's perfect. I said the way, even as bad as it is, if you operate it the way 50% of it or 40%, we'll get good results. They were not even abiding by it. We only select. and choose the one that favors us. And whatever that's not in our favor, we change it. You see the debate as to whether Federal Capital Territory is part of is a state or is like a state. You see the debate. So those are the issues. It's deliberate effort. Tomorrow, those who says who talks about the federal government, federal capital territory is like a state, will come back tomorrow again and say another thing if it's not in their favor. That is the area I'm talking about. The way Amana would choose a law to suit our own interest is the reason why we are where we are.
All right, beautiful. Emeka, my last question to you, if you may. Let's compare ourselves to our neighboring countries. I know there's no need for us to compare, but you know, we're living in a global village where it is believed that what is obtainable or what works in another country, we might borrow it, even if issues are domestic and not the same. Ghana, for example, does not have a regional police. Neither do they have a state police. They have what they call a centralized national police system known as the Ghana Police Service, GPS. Right now, because of insecurity in Nigeria, lots of Nigerians are running to Ghana for safety. So don't you think, like you did say, solve our socio-economic problem so we can manage the Nigerian police force, just like Ghana has been able to manage their Ghana Police Service? Don't you think that is the best problem than going on this wild goose chase?
Ghana, the population of...
Are you there, Emeka? Can you hear me? Emeka, can you hear me? I think we're having a little bit of a glitch there. Emeka, can you hear me? So, Barrister, can you take on that particular question? Maybe if Emeka joins us back, he can continue on that.
What I was trying to say, I heard him say talk about the population, and that's what I said in my mind. Now, how can you be comparing Ghana with Nigeria? What is the number? What is the population of the people of Ghana? The entire Ghana, I'm not sure, is up to 2 or 1 state in Nigeria. So there are two different scenarios. Why are you not saying why is it in US? Each state control their own security apparatus. Why are you not making reference to that? Why are you making reference to country where that is not being done? So you see, we are practicing what's it called? Presidential system of government. Ghana is not practicing presidential system of government. So and in that regard, they are not comparable. And look at the population too; they are not the same. So we need to do what will work for us, not just copy other country. We need to look at our own environment and see whether or not that will be possible. We cannot. It is clear that the central control policing system is not working, and we don't even have enough number. And the reason is that they will say there is no money. So if every state is allowed to get its own security apparatus, that will create more number for us, because every state will have to recruit and get more people into it, and then we'll have more numbers. So for me, you cannot compare the two.
Sorry, I'm back here.
Yes, Emeka, are you there?
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, what I'm saying, sorry, there was a glitch. What I'm saying is that Ghana is like, the population of Ghana is like 1/10 of that of Nigeria. Then the complexities, the size of, our territory and all of that, makes it imperative for us to adopt, the style used by the United States, for instance, having policing at different levels, down to the community levels. Definitely the security challenges that Nigeria is facing are different from those of Ghana or Benin or Togo or Cameroon. We have different challenges. So the point is that if it works for us to have state police, community policing, federal policing, we should also bear in mind, look at what President Donald Trump of the United States did in Washington, D.C. He actually deployed federal troops to take over policing in the federal capital, because the Capitol Police, the police, the local police, had been unable to stem the rising tide of crime. So there should be those safeguards that where certain things infringe on the rule of law, in the operation of state and community policing, that the federal government reserves the right to intervene. That will put states in check. Then I think if we look at, I think the governors, I thought the governors should have gone to Supreme Court to ask for a proper interpretation of Section 32A, in 33.2, 33.2, concerning self-defense, to clearly define it. Because, I mean, you cannot just carry weapons, the Firearms Act prohibits people from having, people who are not security agents from having weapons, without a permit from the Inspector General of Police. But there are so many weapons everywhere in the hands of vigilantes. So is that not a violation of the Firearms Act? While you are pursuing the implementation of Section 33.2, of the Constitution that gives the right to self-defense. So some of these things too are issues that need to be ironed out by the judiciary. But unfortunately, the judiciary has not, shown, interest in actually defending the rights of the people. Anything that's against the interest of the federal government, the Nigerian judiciary, the Supreme Court should sit down. And that is the sad thing. It should sit down. Look at what is happening in Rivers State. Now, I think a date has been October 9 has been fixed, to hear, the suit concerning the removal of the governor. October 9, when the emergency rule is expected to end on September 18. So that tells you that, we are the ones deliberately creating contradictions in our system. I, for one, would just, prefer that the current federal control of the police, like Barrister Tunji talked about, should be decentralized. Not necessarily calling it any name, say police or whatever, but we should decentralize it. There should be checks on the part of the Inspector General of Police. He should not be acting like a deputy commander-in-chief of the armed forces. There should be, we need to cascade this authority to different levels so that it will be easy to deal with crime. It should be easy to deal with crime. And so, it's very simple. If you fix the economy, if you get, instead of creating forest guards, let the governors have full effect of the powers given to them in the Land Use Act to control all land in their states. Let them have full effect. But the fact that you allow people to stay in the forest and the governors cannot determine who stays in the forest and all of that, that's a contradiction. And there are so many other contradictions in our Constitution. So the Constitution needs to be ironed out. We need to tell ourselves the truth. We're a federal system. We operate in a federal system. And a federal system cannot operate where there's a centralized system, where you now have federal forest guard. Because no forest is under the control of the federal government, except any forest in Abuja, which is the federal capital territory, within the FCT. There is no forest under the control of the federal government. So that's the usurpation of the Land Use Act. But I'm surprised the governors, the governor of Katsina and his team who were there just sat there, looking like ignorant, people. When the president was clearly telling you something that's unconstitutional, that is deployed forest guards. Why not ask him, give us the resources, the funds you're going to commit to those forest guards. Let the forest guard operate, under the control of the governor. You are deploying forest guard in violation of the law. And so, all these contradictions make the whole thing. Of course, there are people making money from insecurity in Nigeria. I have to let you know. There are people making money from it. There are people making money from kidnapping and all of these things. And these are not ordinary Nigerians. They are influential Nigerians. And so all of these things, if the hands of the government are not connected to all these crimes, if the hands of people in government are not connected to all these crimes, it will not be difficult. If the Zamfara governor says within 2 weeks he can end banditry, the federal government should be able to end banditry within 48 hours.
Very well.
It's not a big deal. Yes, it's not a big deal. With weapons, look at all these insurgents across the Sahel. They're now using drones. So the federal government, should be able to use drones, use whatever, weapons at its disposal to scrap insurgency, to deal with kidnappers, to make the country secure. It's not a difficulty. Within 48 hours, just one pronouncement from the president and action. It's not a situation where you are trying, the armed forces were about to to apprehend Tuji, Bello Tuji, that criminal, that terrorist. And then they received an order from above to retreat. They had already killed some of his men. In fact, they were about to grab that he had called, and they said that he will cooperate with government, and then they withdrew. What sort of a thing is that? You are just laughing at yourself. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Emeka. It's actually a disturbing matter here that in Nigeria, right now we have about 6 million illegal arms, light weapons in Nigeria. It's about 11 million of them in West Africa. Out of that, Nigeria has about 6 million illegal arms in Nigeria. And you can see how bad the situation is. In Katsina State, for example, some villages do not have inhabitants in them. And these are born out of some of these issues. Barrister, just before I let you go, do you think forest guards would do justice to some of the problems that we have? Let's say Kwara, for instance. When we have forest guards, do you think it would nip the problem in Katsina State and flush out the insurgents and bandits in that particular state?
I cannot sit here and say so, because the issue of who controls them, how do they come into operation, how do they operate, however, will also come in. They will still be controlled by the federal, and the state who are supposed to be know the terrain than the federal will not may not even have a say or have a little say in what happened there. So if you don't talk about this issue of control, we may not get whatever you are bringing right. If you are doing a forest guard, you are like it's like police. Centralized police, centralized forest guard. What are you for? Let the state. If this is my state, let me see. Let me structure of how to police my state, and then I will be blamed for whatever happened. If somebody else will see somewhere, that's what happened. And today people are not looking at it. Our economy, people will blame governments and say, "Oh, your governor accountable. Oh, governor accountable." When the issue of subsidy is being removed, why the governor called? When the issue of money, whatever that will affect our economy, were they informed? No. So if there's a forest guard now, and this has been taken without them being informed, or even when they are informed, they are just being informed alone without any taking decision together, or whatever the federal government want to do is what will happen. You cannot get results in that manner. So there must be something that it will be in my control. That I know all the responsibility, or I'll take it, whether positive or negative, will be my responsibility. Then, as long as we continue to do decentralized policing, we may not get it right.
Thank you so very much. Yeah, thank you so very much, Barrister Emeka. I truly do appreciate you. I truly do hope that maybe in the future, when we finally get the state policing right, and state police is in the hands of our governors, we won't have a repeat of Egbeto Kun's extension unlawfully, like we have with President Bola Tinubu extending his office for as long as he wanted, and we would have that in different states where state governors will extend the reign of...
You may have one that is worse than that. I will not sit here and say, once you give them that authority, they'll be perfect. No. I'm just saying the right thing. They should do the right thing. The governor will even be worse than the federal sometimes.
Very true, Barrister. Thank you. Thank you so very much, gentlemen. I truly do appreciate you both. Policing is a very important thing. A country without its police force is a country that is sliding through the rabbit hole to destruction. About 400,000 of personnel are in charge of over 230 million Nigerians. But you know the reason why we respect them is because they've been given the authority to do what they know how to do best. And I love to believe if there's so much gains, from that, I think they should be encouraged to do better than what they are doing. That's just about the time we have. Thank you so very much for being here, Emeka, Barrister Tunji. We truly do appreciate you both once more. And that's just the time we have. Please do well to visit us. You can find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Gwebike. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, bright and early. Bye-bye from me.